Moving on then to our next speaker, Shingen, whenever you're ready.
I would like to begin my speech by noting that the question is slightly malformed because it's, well, more mixing up two tenses, present and past. It suggests a dichotomy, a situation where one option is true while the other is not. However, here, technically, we could have a situation where neither of these is true. It's possible that freedom of speech was not an illusion, but recently we lost it. But that's not really the point, the main point of my speech here, as I am of an opinion that the freedom of speech is still there and we can still exercise it. But to answer the question, we should know what we're talking about. The freedom of speech is, in a way, a misnomer. It's an idea described by a label that doesn't exactly fit its meaning when taken literally. Freedom of speech is not a mere statement that we as people have a physical ability to speak, and it also doesn't mean that according to it we can say anything anywhere at any time. Freedom of speech in the legal sense is essentially a promise of the government that it will not punish you for having and sharing opinions that contradict their own. It's most famously known and protected by the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. It's something that people in my country, Poland, had to deal with for almost 50 years, like censorship. For almost 50 years after the end of World War II. We were governed by the Communist Party, being puppeteered by the USSR. Everything there was checked by censorship, and people who pushed it a little bit too much were never heard of again. Luckily, we no longer live in these times, and that's why I am of an opinion that freedom of speech is something that we can still exercise. Now, of course, because we're talking about it in a legal sense and laws depend on the country, and so let's be frank, not every country is civilized. Not everyone in the world has that freedom. Also, I can agree with my previous speaker that the freedom of speech is in a way under attack. Recently, an Austrian woman was convicted for insulting Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, by saying that he is a pedophile because, according to a widely held view, even among Muslims, he married a 6-year-old girl, Aisha, and quote unquote consummated his marriage when she was 9. The scarier thing about this whole ordeal is that this conviction was upheld by the European Court of Human Rights. If calling things by their name is a reason to convict someone, it's a really scary time we're going towards. Now, the freedom of speech can also have a non-legal meaning as a general idea, a principle to be able to speak your mind freely. And we can see in many social media websites that people are getting banned every now and then. Social media websites and other privately owned places have no responsibility to act according to the idea of freedom of speech, and they are not the government that promised you to uphold it. It would be nice if they did it, if they did do it, but they don't have to. That, while saddening or annoying, depending on your attitude, is not reflective of the general state of the freedom of speech in the world. Now, as a final note, I would like to say that whether you think the freedom of speech is still there for us to exercise, I think it's important to agree that it is important and worth having in the future, at least. Thank you.
Thank you very much.